What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. Season of the Deep brings several improvements to the Void subclasses, thanks to 3 significantly impactful artifact mods provided by the Repulsor Regulator. This seasonal artifact introduces Unto the Breach, Protective Breach, and Supernova. While there are other beneficial mods that we'll discuss today, these 3 are the standouts of the bunch, and really amplify the abilities of many Void builds, especially for Voidwalkers, which we're going to talk about today. First though, let's talk about these new mods. Unto the Breach will create Void breaches when you defeat Void debuffed enemies. For Voidwalkers, this can be easily done with Void grenades, reaping the benefits of Echo of Undermining. Pocket Singularity gives Warlocks an additional means to cause enemies to become volatile. Since we no longer have the Volatile Flow seasonal artifact mod, Echo of Instability can provide volatile rounds, and weapons with destabilizing rounds can cause nearby enemies to become volatile. The Deterministic Chaos exotic heavy machine gun can finally have an opportunity to shine, as it will cause enemies to become volatile after consecutive landed hits. Unto the Breach directly ties into Protective Breach, where you receive a Void Overshield valued at 45 health points after collecting a Void Breach, the effects of which can be prolonged with the use of Echo of Persistence. Unto the Breach also ties into Supernova, because after you collect a Void Breach, your next Void attack will deal out a large weakening blast, providing similar benefits to that of the Echo of Undermining, mixed with Echo of Expulsion. Weakened targets take an additional 15% damage, have reduced mobility, and get the Stormtrooper debuff of Inaccuracy. Void Breaches intrinsically provide 12.5% class ability energy each time one is collected. Typically, there is a 5-second cooldown on Void Breach creation, but this may get augmented due to the inclusion of these new seasonal mods. It's clear that Void Breaches will play a significant role towards DPS and survivability throughout Season of the Deep, so it will be imperative to incorporate ways of causing enemies to be Void debuffed, so that we can create and reap the benefits of these seasonal mods. Season of the Deep introduces some additional key changes to the Void subclass that Voidwalkers can take advantage of this season. Chaos Accelerant will now provide 2 fragment slots instead of 1. Supers get a 20% damage bonus against PvE combatants, and Nova Warp will now cause enemies to become volatile. There's multiple exotics, both armor and weapons, that will play key roles towards Voidwalker builds this season. With exotic bows getting a nerf in damage, Layman Arc will be an unlikely candidate for best exotic weapon choice, but the Graviton Lance is receiving several adjustments to improve its overall performance, including an increased rate of fire, rebalancing of burst damage, and an increase in first shot damage. The Wave Splitter Trace Rifle saw its own improvements this past season and will continue to be a fountain of wealth for all Void subclasses, as it can weaken and suppress enemies while dealing out bonus damage, which will be perfect for Trace Rifles getting a nod towards Overload champions. And Wave Splitter can single-handedly create Void breaches with the use of Unto the Breach. The Osteostriga will undoubtedly continue to be a great exotic to pair up with pretty much every build, and can open this build to the option of legendary weapons with destabilizing rounds. There's also the Two-Tailed Fox exotic rocket launcher and the Tractor Cannon exotic shotgun that can both bring some exceptionally powerful synergy to a Voidwalker build throughout Season of the Deep. Typically, when I run a Voidwalker build, I gravitate towards the use of the Nezarec Scent, Verity's Brow, or the Controverse Hold. And don't get me wrong, I'll certainly be playing around with all of these exotics this season, but the Sanguine Alchemy and Mantle of Battle Harmony are both getting revised in Season of the Deep, providing both exotics with significant bonuses and damage. Currently, the Sanguine Alchemy extends the duration of your rift after defeating enemies, but now it's also able to provide a non-stacking damage bonus of 17% while in PvE. This is the equivalent of 2 weapon surge mods that can be active for as long as 15 seconds, as long as you're standing within your rift. And with Void Breaches granting additional class ability energy, rifts can be created almost consecutively. The Mantle of Battle Harmony is getting what I would consider to be the best upgrade, and most likely exotic to become meta in Season 22. Weapon kills from weapons that match your subclass grant one of 2 different buffs, based on whether your super is charged or not. The first is Absorption Cells, Weapons that match your subclass will get a 25% bonus in damage for 4 seconds, with additional kills extending this for as long as 10 seconds, as long as your super is fully charged. This will not stack with weapon surge mods, but it will stack with the effects of empowering rifts, radiance, weapons of light, and other damage bonuses. When your super is not charged, you'll receive a buff called Energy Siphon. This works much like the bad juju, amplifying your super regeneration. After every weapon kill that matches your subclass, you'll get 3% super energy over a 2-second time frame. While you will find better regeneration exotics out of Nezaric's Sin and Verity's Brow, the damage bonus that you'll receive with Sanguine Alchemy or Mantle of Battle Harmony will be hard to pass up on this season. And there's a lot of things that we can now do with our Void subclass tree to really complement what these exotics bring to the table. Chaos Accelerant is our first choice in Void aspects. It now provides 2 fragments instead of 1, and will cause our Vortex grenades to have an increased size and duration. We're using Feed the Void, which is going to grant Devour whenever we defeat an enemy with a Void ability. The effects of Devour will be extended after each final blow, and while Devour is active, each kill will fully restore health and provide anywhere between 7 and 20% energy based on enemy rank, and that's grenade energy. For Void fragments, we're using Echo of Persistence, which is going to extend the duration of Devour and Void Overshields by an extra 5 seconds. This will extend the time that Protective Breach's Overshield will remain active. We're using Echo of Remnants, which will cause our Vortex grenades to have twice the duration that they normally would with Chaos Accelerant. This will be especially beneficial since we're also using Echo of Undermining, so that our grenades cause enemies to become weakened. This will in turn cause void breaches to be created so that we can trigger Protective Breach and Supernova. Since we're able to use 4 fragments, we're able to throw on Echo of Instability so that our void weapons will receive volatile rounds after defeating enemies with grenades. This buff will be extended with the use of Echo of Persistence and will serve as a great substitute for the loss of volatile flow. In terms of armor, there's several new seasonal mods that we can benefit from with this Voidwalker build. The authorized Void mod will reduce the energy cost of all mods associated to Void weapons, including Siphon mods, Surge mods, and Reloader mods. This brings the energy cost of these mods down to 1 energy. Countercharge will grant armor charges whenever you or a teammate stun a champion. This can trigger the effects of kickstarts, fonts, and Surge mods. While we haven't really set this build up for finishers, the Squad Goals Artifact mod can be extremely beneficial, as it will grant teammates Devour whenever you perform a finisher while having Devour. I'll include a more thorough breakdown of each of the armor mods that we're using in this build towards the end of the video, and you can also find the Destiny Item Manager link in the description below. With that being said, we are using the Void Siphon mods so that Void weapons create orbs. We're using the Ashes to Assets Helmet mod so that we'll get additional super energy after defeating enemies with grenades. Firepower and Font Focus will both now be valued at 3 armor charges, so you might not be able to afford squeezing both of them in, but if you can, it is definitely preferred. And since Void Reloader can be added for just 1 armor charge, it will be a great addition for gloves. If you're already at max discipline, you might want to consider grenade kickstart mods instead, so that your armor charges will get converted into grenade energy after throwing your grenades. Kickstarts are much more viable when you're not utilizing weapon surge mods. We're using stacks on stacks and charged up so that we get 1 extra armor charge when collecting orbs, and we'll have a total of 4 armor charges that can be active at once. This will help keep Font of Focus and any other fonts fueled. And since we don't have to worry about weapon surge mods, we are going with Emergency Reinforcement for survivability purposes. Whenever we have armor charge and become critically wounded, we'll get an instant bonus in damage resistance by 30 points. We've also got Better Already, which grants health recovery when collecting an orb. So all in all, we should be good to go on survivability against any level of content during Season of the Deep. We're also able to use a Void Auto Reloader mod, since we aren't using weapon surge mods. This can really come in handy for optimal DPS when you're swapping between multiple Void weapons, and they'll only cost 1 energy each. For class item, we're using Bomber mods to generate grenade energy when casting rifts. The Reaper mod, so that weapon kills will generate orbs after casting our rift, and we're using Time Dilation, which is going to extend the duration of the armor charge cooldown. Alternatively, when running Sanguine Alchemy, the utility Kickstart can be an extremely helpful mod, as it will immediately consume armor charge stacks and convert them into class ability energy after you've casted your rift. Whether you're looking for a build that's going to tear through large groups of enemies, or just curb stomp a few big ones, this is going to be the perfect Voidwalker build for you to use throughout Season of the Deep. We'll likely get several new weapons throughout this season that will bring some unique benefits to this build, so be sure to stay tuned to the channel as we break those down over the upcoming weeks. For now though, that's going to wrap things up for today's video. Thank you as always for checking it out. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated, and both really do help support the channel. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this build and what builds you're excited for with Season of the Deep. If you're a new Light Guardian just starting your journey, or a battle-hardened veteran just looking for a new home, be sure to check out the Discord link in the description below and join one of the greatest communities in all of Destiny. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.